Welcome back to Inside South Florida. Well, summertime means pools, beaches, and heat. A lot of heat. And here to make sure you are prepared to be safe as you have a great time this summer is Dr. Adam Lacey. Dr. Lacey, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thanks for having me here. I'm doing great.
I think as doctors go, you have cool hair. I mean, for really any line of work, but yeah.
Well, it's a South Florida appeal.
Right, you got to be cool. Even in the ER, you still got to look cool, right?
Yeah, I'm trying my best here.
Yeah, well, it's working. It's working. All right, so summer safety. This is big, obviously, for viewers that have kids, even if you don't have kids, but particularly if you do. We're going to cover a lot of topics. Let's talk about pools. Parents that have pools in their houses, they've got kids running around. What are some tips to keep the pools safe?
Well, summertime, there's kids in the pool all the time. So, up to 78% of people that have had submersion injuries, usually it's the children. It's under age 5. And a lot of times it's been in recreational pools in your backyard. So some easy things you can do, and it's very readily available, are like an enclosed pool. It's a fence that goes around the pool, usually about 4 feet tall. And now they have a lot of self-locking gates. So that's probably the major thing you could do.
Right.
Other things, include like water safety tools like shepherd's hooks, rings, and life preservers.
Right, and obviously it sort of goes without saying, but very important for kids to get swimming lessons down here at an early age.
Oh yeah, definitely swimming lessons, and it's really important for family members to really have a good idea of basic life support and first aid.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that because I was about to ask you that. So I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this. It's really sort of sad and scary. But let's say that a parent comes home and their child is in the pool or something, and they call 911. While they're waiting for the ambulance to arrive, what should the parents be doing? Compressions or what do they need to do?
Yeah, compressions is probably the very first thing. First, obviously, we're calling EMS, we're calling 911. You're finding someone that's going to be able to help you. Hopefully, if you've taken some course maybe from American Heart or the Red Cross, you have some idea of how to do CPR, starting with compressions. So that's really important, and really continue those compressions until someone that's more qualified arrives.
Right. Okay, so sticking with the water theme, what about waterborne illnesses, infections, things like that? How do we make sure we avoid those?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. One of the big things that people are doing now is washing yourself before you go into the pool. There's a lot of skin flakes that come off and body oils. And never bring food or any type of drink into the pool, especially glass, which is really hard to see if you break it and it falls to the bottom of the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. They even have water diapers for kids. So, but probably the biggest thing is if you have kids that have diarrhea, don't allow them into the pool.
Gee, that's a lovely image on your Sunday mornings. Enjoy. I thought skin flakes was gross, and then diarrhea. I think you just
had to one-up it.
You did. You one-upped it. Yeah. Congratulations. All right, and here talking about boating as well. Obviously, you wear a life jacket while you're boating, but boating can certainly be dangerous too.
Mm-hmm. There's one of the things that people aren't doing enough of is wearing life jackets. Might not be the most fashion-forward thing, but a lot of modern life jackets come in a variety of sizes, shapes, colors, and a lot of them are flexible and lightweight. So, the big thing is finding the one that's appropriate for your size and weight, so it's a good fit. You want to make sure that the neck hole doesn't allow your neck, or your chin or ear to fall through it.
Okay. You mentioned something important, I think. You talked about they may not look cool to wear life jackets, and I think the same thing is applicable for, like the clothes you're wearing to protect yourself from the sun. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you don't look cool if you're wearing the big hat or the long sleeves or whatever, but, you're a doctor. I would imagine for you, fashion is secondary to safety, right?
Yeah, definitely true. And especially in South Florida, we have a high UV index. There's all sorts of clothing you could wear that is UV protective. Simple things. Just lightweight, long sleeve shirts, the hats. There's a variety of choices you can find in the store. So it's really about just keeping yourself safe.
And we've talked in past weeks on the show about skin cancer, about melanoma. I've spoken to our viewers that I had melanoma, and I know that a lot of people think that it only happens to fair-skinned people. Right. But that is not the case, right? I mean, anybody, no matter what type of skin you have, is a candidate for skin cancer. And furthermore, kids are also candidates too, right?
Yeah, it's very true. No one is really immune to it, and certainly certain people are more susceptible. People with light skin, freckles. When you start seeing things that are like moles that become irregular or just different colored growths on your skin, that's when you really start getting concerned. But the key is really prevention.
And sticking with the sun, forgetting sunburn for a second, but there's also heat stroke, people fainting, people passing out. So what do you need to do to make sure that that doesn't happen to you either?
Yeah, well, you really got to start worrying about the people that are in extremes of age. So, the really young kids and your elderly. There's something called a heat index. And this is something what your body feels, and so this is it's a combination of humidity outside with the actual temperature, and so it becomes a real problem when your body's trying to dissipate heat, and it's already hot outside. So your internal temperature rises, and you start having heat-related illness. Some of the first things that happen are muscle cramps, and you can have them anywhere, but usually in your arms and your abdomen and lower extremities. And if that's not taken care of immediately with hydration and really removing yourself from the environment, you can move on to the other side of the spectrum, which goes from heat exhaustion to heat stroke.
And I've seen it, you mentioned extreme ages, but I've also seen people who are super fit, who are our age, who are in good shape. I've seen it happen to them as well. It can happen to anybody.
It really can, and it's really about keeping yourself in a cool, shady area, keeping hydrated, and keeping yourself away from the heat.
Right. But I think the takeaway, this has been like a whole bunch of things you should not do, but, you still certainly can you're a South Florida guy, I'm a South Florida, you still can enjoy the summer. You just got to make smarter choices, right?
Yeah, 100%. People flock down to South Florida every single summer, and by and large, people are safe and don't have any major problems. But you just got to be careful and, try to be safe as possible.
So, all right. So, last thing I want to ask you is, if somebody thinks they might have heat stroke, when do they make a decision to go to the hospital? Like, what are they feeling? And they say, all right, I probably need to go get checked out.
Right. So the very beginning in the spectrum is just the cramping. Once you start having any changes in consciousness, you start having nausea, maybe some type of dizziness. Any other symptom aside from just the normal, just feeling really sweaty and thirsty, then that's when you need to really start considering getting emergency medical services involved.
Drink a lot of water.
Drink a lot of water.
Yeah. All right, good to see you. If people want to ask you questions, want to come see you, how do they find you?
Well, we're over at Florida Medical Center, which is in West Broward, and we're also just opened up a new freestanding emergency department out in Davie off 595 and Nob Hill.
And is there a website you want people to know?
Yeah, you can go to ercare247.com.
All right, Dr. Lacey, good to see you. Last thing is that what do we call that? Is that a faux hawk? What are we going? What's the official medical term of what you got?
Yeah, let's go with faux hawk. I think that's pretty fitting.
Rocking the faux hawk. Good to see you.
Thanks a lot.
You got it.